She slapped me at our wedding. A year later she called me boss. My name is Liang Xiyu, 27 years old, detail-obsessed, emotionally quiet, the kind of woman who notices when people lie by how they stir their tea. I never wanted a fairy tale wedding. I just wanted respect. But instead, I got a slap that echoed louder than any vow. I felt the sting before I even registered the sound. Right there, in front of guests, flashing cameras, flower petals still floating in the air, my mother-in-law slapped me. Hard. Gasps rippled through the banquet hall. The pianist stopped mid-note. Even the officiant froze. "This wedding is a disgrace," she hissed. "My son should have married someone worthy. Not an orphan with a fake smile and a stitched-up dress." My face burned, not from pain but from shame. I looked at my husband, Rongjia. He didn't speak. Didn't move. Didn't defend me. That was the real blow. I stood there, bouquet wilting in my grip, mascara threatening to run, as her words cut through the silence. "You'll never belong in this family. And mark my words, girl, you'll never rise above me." I didn't cry. Not then. I bowed slightly, lips trembling. "Thank you for your blessing, mother." And I walked out of the hall. Not from the wedding, but from the version of myself that used to beg for acceptance. Because something inside me snapped and then clicked. I didn't belong in her world? Fine. I'd build a world of my own. And next time she saw me, she wouldn't see a daughter-in-law. She'd see the woman she underestimated. The honeymoon was a formality. I spent it alone. Rongjia never followed me. And honestly, I didn't expect him to. For months I stayed silent. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I was building something they'd never see coming. I returned to the small co-working studio I'd rented years ago. The one above a noodle shop, with flickering lights and a leaky sink. It was where I first drafted my pitch deck. Where my quiet rage turned into a business model. Affordable digital marketing for small-scale women-led brands. It started as a freelance idea. But now, it became my weapon. While they threw parties, I threw myself into data, investor calls, and sleepless nights. My first client was a local candle shop. Then a second, a fashion boutique run by a single mom. Soon word spread. We weren't just selling products. We were building voices. My agency, Ember Bloom, grew like wildfire. I never posted my face. Never used my husband's name. But behind the scenes, I was the storm reshaping their market. The year passed fast. Until one morning my assistant rushed in. "You won't believe who applied for our rebranding package." She handed me the form. There it was. Lu Fong Beauty Corp. The name of my mother-in-law's company. The same company that mocked my lack of refinement. That rejected me as a supplier months ago. I stared at the application. Her name signed at the bottom. Begging for help. "Do you want to reject it?" my assistant asked. I looked up. Smiled faintly. "No," I said. "Schedule a consultation. I'd love to meet our newest client. Because fate doesn't just turn tables. It delivers them gift-wrapped." The conference room was all glass and silence. My mother-in-law, no Ms. Lu now, walked in wearing her usual pearls and scowl. Behind her, a junior marketing manager hovered nervously. I didn't stand. Didn't bow. I simply closed my laptop and said, "Welcome to Ember Bloom. Shall we begin?" Her eyes widened for a second. She recognized my voice. But she recovered fast. "Pride has muscle memory." "I didn't realize you were the founder," she said like it tasted bitter. "That's all right," I replied. "I've changed since the wedding. I imagine. So has your quarterly revenue." She flinched. I gestured toward the screen behind me. Charts, stats, brand audits. I didn't come to gloat, I came to lead. Your brand is outdated. Your social engagement is flat. And your customer base is aging. I tapped the screen. You don't need pretty packaging. You need a voice people trust again. She stared at me like I'd grown wings. I continued, calm and clear. "Now, if you're here to save your company's dignity, I can help. But if you're here to prove a point, this meeting's over." The room held its breath. Then she did something unimaginable. She lowered her head. "I trust your judgment. No theatrics. No excuses. Just one line." And in that moment I realized, this wasn't revenge. This was evolution. I didn't need to slap her back. Success already had. And the woman who once called me a stain on her son's reputation now called me something else entirely. Ms. Liang. I offered her my hand. Let's build something better, shall we? She took it, with a grip far softer than I remembered. In the weeks that followed, Ms. Liu became my client. A paying one. She sat through strategy sessions like every other brand owner. No more special treatment. No more side comments about my background. Her voice softened. Her gaze no longer scanned for flaws but for answers. And slowly, I saw the mask slip. One evening after a long brand audit, she lingered behind. The team had left. Only she and I remained in the office, bathed in low golden light from the skyline outside. You never once mentioned it, she said suddenly. I looked up. Mentioned what? That I slapped you. That I humiliated you, on the most sacred day of your life. I closed my laptop. Let the quiet sit for a moment. What would have changed if I had? She sighed. A sound I never imagined her capable of. I judged you by your price tag, not your potential. And that mistake cost me more than profit. She looked at me differently now. Not as a daughter-in-law, but as a woman she respected. You've built something I could never buy. Loyalty, trust, purpose. Then she reached into her bag and handed me something. A red envelope. Not for payment. Inside was a handwritten note and the deed to a property. Your new headquarters, she said. No conditions. Just respect. I blinked stunned. She stood. And this time, she added, if you ever do marry my son, I'll sit in the front row. With pride. I didn't speak. I didn't cry. I simply stood, walked to the window, and smiled at my reflection. Because I wasn't just the girl she slapped anymore. I was the woman who rose anyway. Our new headquarters opened a month later. A sleek glass space with floors that didn't creak and ceilings that didn't leak. On the wall behind my desk, build silently. Let them wonder how. Clients poured in. So did resumes. Even whispers from investors who once ghosted me. But the moment that defined it all was when Ms. Liu walked in one morning with 2 cups of tea. She placed one gently on my desk. No bitterness this time, she said, smiling, a real one. I sipped. It was jasmine. Sweet. Warm. You know, she added. I used to believe power came from titles, bloodlines, reputation. She looked around the office. But power looks different now. She met my eyes. It looks like you. I didn't need her approval anymore. But I accepted her growth because that's what strength truly is. Later that week at a private investor dinner, someone asked me, how did you go from being rejected at your own wedding to owning the table everyone wants to sit at? I answered honestly, I didn't climb. I built. And every insult, every silence, every slap laid the foundation. They clapped. But I wasn't proud of the applause. I was proud of the girl I used to be. The one who walked away from humiliation with her spine straight and her heart still whole. Understand for every woman who's been belittled, mocked, or underestimated, you don't have to fight fire with fire. Sometimes you just become the sun. If this story empowered you, give it a like and share it with someone walking their quiet climb. And don't forget to subscribe, because every underdog has a story worth telling.